10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For the next 2 hours, we will bring you the latest pro wrestling news, in-depth analysis of all your favorite promotions from across the globe, and much, much more. We will also bring you exclusive interviews with the greatest professional wrestling personalities on the local, national, and international levels. If you want to follow the Wrestle Talk Podcast, check us out online at www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And now, it's time for the reigning, defending, undisputed leader in pro wrestling podcast, the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Wrestle Talk Podcast, the premier wrestling podcast around. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to use the hashtags, hashtag WTP and hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. Engage all of us. Folks, it is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I am the Maestro, Jeremy Karp. I am not the only host, though, this evening, and I want to thank the amazing intro to this gentleman. He is a future Hall of Famer, well-deserved, and without him, I would not be where I am at today. My longtime colleague and lifelong friend, the one and only Luke Skywalker Roberts.
Jeremy, happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to every member of the Wrestle Talk family. It's a great holiday season. And again, we're going to kick off the holiday season right tonight with a very special Uncivilized episode here of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And just to let you know, this was not titled by myself or the Maestro Jeremy Karp, because tonight we're going to be joined in the 8 o'clock hour by the one, the only Rocco the Barbarian. Well known for countless promotions, including Trailblazer Championship Wrestling and Midwest Wrestling Coalition, a new promotion that's going to be starting up here in the next few weeks. We're hoping to have more information about them as we go along here. And Jeremy, I got to tell you, tonight we got a lot of great things going on here on the program. I mean, we're going to have Big Daddy P with the Snippets of Truth. We're going to have the FWWC. We're going to have the Shoot and Shout. We're going to have the High Spots. We got a lot of things going on. But I got to ask you, Jeremy, how have you been, my friend? I mean, again, I know for a fact the St. Louis weather scene has been wonderful. Please note the large degree of sarcasm here. Give you an idea. We were looking, what was it, Sunday into Monday? I think they were saying we were going to be in the 20s for a low, maybe even high teens. And I think they're talking tomorrow we're back in the 50s.
It is right now 30 degrees as of 7:09 on December 3rd. Meanwhile, like you said, tomorrow, because it's Missouri, and what the hell, why not? It's going to be a brisk 52. And to make it even better, Thursday will be 25 as the high. So,
hey,
yes,
it's a wonderful St. Louis fall. And you know the crazy thing, Jeremy?
What?
Technically put, December 21st is officially supposed to be the start of winter. Welcome to the fall of St. Louis, ladies and gentlemen. But you know something, Jeremy? We're going to have a lot of great things. And we're going to have a few guests stopping by here tonight. I mean, again, we got Rocco the Barbarian. We've got Deck and Kane going to be joining us as well. But we're going to have a few more guests popping in throughout the course of the evening. You never know who's going to stop by here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And again, as a reminder, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling, hashtag WTP. Share this out with your friends, family, loved ones, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, professional wrestling promotions, and wrestlers, as a matter of fact. Send it out to anybody who enjoys the world of professional wrestling, just like you and I do each and every week, Jeremy. And you know something, Jeremy? Tonight, I got to look at things here. Has our first surprise arrived yet? I know it's the holiday season, and again, we got a lot of different things that get delivered. Has our first surprise appeared yet?
Our dear friend has not appeared yet.
Oh,
We'll say that much. Now,
We'll get it taken care of. We'll get it taken
he'll
care of.
show up.
Oh, I know he'll show up. Like I say, they'll show up. We're all going to be good. But you know something, Jeremy? Before we get things started this evening, and again, as we talk at the Wrestle Talk podcast, we're always trying to evolve. We're always trying to make it a point to bring you a new innovative product each and every week here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And before we get too much farther along, we're going to go ahead and thank our great sponsors. Without who the Wrestle Talk podcast doesn't go as well as it is. But you know something? We're going to do something a little bit more here, and we're going to go ahead and remind you, not just with our voice, but also with some promotional materials from each of our great sponsors here at the Wrestle Talk podcast. So, Jeremy, we can go ahead and start throwing up our sponsors here on the screen. They can get rid of our faces for just a minute.
We are going in order, folks, at least as best as we can. So the first thing we got here, tell us about our little tumbler, Luke.
Well, you know something here. If you want to be a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast and you want to show your support, make it a point to pick up one of those brand new Wrestle Talk podcast tumblers. You can pick them up. They are made by Little Popeye Designs, one of the great sponsors of the Wrestle Talk podcast. If you'd like to order one, please make it a point to contact any member of the Wrestle Talk podcast staff, and we'll make sure to get you hooked up with that. We're also sponsored by the Retro Zone out in Kansas City. We are sponsored by, of course, Painter Stream Productions for all of your media needs. Make it a point to check out Painter Stream Productions, the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. As you said earlier on, Jeremy, I will be inducted on June 22nd here in St. Louis. For ticket information, check them out on social media. $30 in advance, $35 day of the event. Interstate 70 Sports Media, home of the maestro Jeremy Karp, home of Roundabout Sports every Wednesday, and several other programs throughout the course of the week. Check them out, Interstate 70 Sports Media. Also, we have Little Popeye Designs. We talked about earlier those great Wrestle Talk podcast tumblers that you can get courtesy of Little Popeye Designs. And last but certainly not least, the one and only, the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. All sponsors of the Wrestle Talk podcast each and every week here on the program. And you know something, Jeremy, again, not only would it be because of our sponsors, but we also have to give a shout out to the Wrestle Talk podcast family, because without them, we don't have nearly the longevity, nearly the viewership and the support that we have. And a matter of fact, already chiming in here this evening, one of the first messages tonight, our good friend from SICW, still promoter of SICW, I might add, the one, the only Herb Simmons. And again, got to give a shout out to Herb. We talked with Gary Jackson here just a couple weeks ago. A lot of people are wondering, was the team of Ron Powers, Danny Boy Hawkins, and Gary Jackson going to be successful? And they were successful this past I believe on the 23rd. And Assad, thank you for joining us as well here tonight on the program. Assad's always tuning in to the Wrestle Pop podcast, always keeping things rocking and rolling here on the program. But Jeremy, you know, it's time that we need to take care of a little bit of business that we do each and every week. Every time we come on the air, we always take care of business. So at this time, if you'd be so kind, since, of course, we don't have Nightmare Jones in the house, because Nightmare Jones was the originator of the intros. We take care of each and every week. But since you're such a great and good friend, a longtime broadcast colleague, I'm going to let you have the opportunity to introduce our respects to the greatest country in the world.
Yes, folks, please, everybody, if you have a cap on, remove it. If you have a hat on, remove it, and put your hands over your hearts as we honor the greatest country in the world. That is America, damn it. That was awful.
Hey, Jeremy, again, it's one of those things. We always make it a point to pay homage to the United States of America. I just want to give a very special shout out to all of our. We also need to make it a point to give a very special shout out to all those men and women who are defending our country, both overseas and here in the United States. Our firefighters, our police forces, our emergency personnel, all those people who are making it a point to support and defend us so that we can do what we do each and every day throughout this country. Got to give them the shout outs. But you know something, Jeremy? There's been a lot going on in the world of pro wrestling. There has been a bunch. And you know what? They don't want to hear us talking, just chit-chatting. This is the Wrestle Talk podcast. Emphasis on the word wrestle and talk. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and Aaron Lawrence joining us in here. My longtime friend, a man who I consider one of the cornerstones of the refereeing industry here in the St. Louis area, alongside such greats as Jay King, Christopher Miles, Nick Ridenauer, among others. A lot of great officials. And Aaron Lawrence is quickly making it a point to join a very elite class. I would be remiss too if I didn't include my good friend Freddie Jack Funkhauser as well. But again, Aaron Lawrence, always checking out the Wrestle Talk podcast. Want to give him a shout out. But you know something, Jeremy?
What?
It's time to talk wrestling. So let's go ahead and get right on in to the high spot segment. Let's go ahead and hit that DJ money as we get ready for high spots here tonight.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like player chops. We talk shop, coming through the screens of a laptop and non-stop like a runner speeches of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops. Like a clock flash, look like a belly flop. Now that's hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk podcast. Now they know we about to start the show.
All right, you heard that right there from DJ Money. The introduction for our high spot segment. And you know something, Jeremy? I'm on level with you. I know we got the little message here, and I told DJ Money, we talked with him. The man is very well versed. He's in multiple different avenues. For those of you that want to know a little bit more about that introduction, and Jeremy, if you can go ahead and run that across the bottom of the screen here, I think we've got it in the network. A shout out again to our media team for doing a lot of great work here as we were getting ready to go live on the air here. Tonight's High Spots theme was provided by DJ Money. Support DJ Money. You can visit a store location, 455 Bellwood Road, Suite 28 in Calhoun, Georgia, or you can visit shopbryanthill.com. I'm going to tell you right now, they have been on fire as of late with all the different people who've been requesting and ordering items from Bryant Hill. And again, great products. You can't go wrong with Bryant Hill. You can't go wrong with DJ Money. Make it a point to check them out either at their physical location or check them out online. You will not be disappointed. It has the Luke Roberts and Maestro Jeremy Karp seal of approval when you're talking about Bryant Hill merchandise.
You damn right.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time for talking's done. Let's get in to our first High Spots question of the evening right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Okay.
All right. Question number one. Let's see how this is going to turn out here tonight.
Okay.
Ooh.
This is interesting.
Kylie Ray recently announced as a WWE ID prospect. Given her history, how far does she go? Now, Jeremy, this is a very, very tough question to answer because Kylie Ray has been across the country. I mean, again, I believe she spent time in AEW. She spent time in TNA. I don't quote me on it, but I think she's made appearances in I think she's made a couple appearances of an MLW as well. But as you look at it here, Kylie Rae and the WWE. Jeremy, I got to tell you, I've had the opportunity to be on events with Kylie Rae. I have. And genuinely, one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. You almost would look at it from the idea that she's almost too nice for her own good. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm concerned about Kylie Rae going to the WWE. Because I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be going out there and they're going to be making it a point to make the comparisons between Kylie Rae and Bayley and things along the line. And do I think she has the ability? Yes. But do I think she'll get a fair shake in the WWE? I'm sorry to say, I don't think so. Maestro, your thoughts?
Okay, so here's my thing with Kylie Rae. Excuse me. Now, look, she's technically still a free agent, and she's one of the many independent stars signed to WWE ID contracts. This is something that occurred several weeks ago. Now, this doesn't guarantee a progression to WWE. Of course, though, this is the big end goal, Luke, for all the prospects. Now, she's competed for almost a decade, and like you said, you work shows with Kylie Rae on the card.
I believe you have too, haven't you, Jeremy?
Actually, yeah, I completely crossed my mind. I've worked with shows with Kylie Rae as well. Damn, that's actually crazy to think about. Grand scheme of things. I mean, I've worked with some amazing wrestlers in my day as well. Now she's also worked very briefly for AEW early on. Now, I think among some of the latest prospects, she might be more than ready than most to make that jump. Now, NXT is extremely stacked with female talent. To me, it has more female talent than both Raw and SmackDown. So I think there's a lot of great matches there that she can really have. And Rae may soon join that roster soon enough. This wouldn't come until next year, I'll say that much. But, and she's just 32 years old. But she has the ever youthful appearance. Like, me with my beard looks a lot older than Kylie Rae. So, I think, and you talk about too nice for her own good. I think that is an interesting point, because in professional wrestling, a lot of times being too nice can come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I Jeremy, I got to tell you right now, I mean, it's one of those things where, do I wish any ill will on Kylie Rae? No, I don't. And the reason why is because I genuinely think Kylie Rae has all the ability in the world. I just hope that when it comes down to it, I hope she gets a chance to really showcase what she's able to do. But I hope that kind of Bayley similarity doesn't come back to haunt her. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our next question as a part of the High Spot segment here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Let's go ahead.
Okay, well, let's see. Get this generator randomizer working, and then we will get rolling. Ooh.
All right, let's see here. Woo, we go from one extreme to the other here, and we got to pull this graphic up here, because this is when you sit here and you look at the visual on this. According to ESPN, Dirty Dominic Mysterio has been named ESPN's best wrestler under the age of 30. MJF comes in second. Do you agree with this? Maestro, I'm just going to throw it to you, my friend, because this is a question that I just want to say it to you before you give your response. Should we even be having this discussion, Maestro?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you right now. I think they made the right call. I don't have an issue with MJF. I do think he's kind of fizzled out a bit, and I think some of that just has to do with AEW fizzling out a bit as a whole. Dominic Mysterio is the hottest heel, but, I mean, this guy gets extreme levels of heat on so many different reasons. I think he is a very good wrestler. And look, I see it. Both Susie and Hardcore Hoss are saying how MJ is better. Look, wrestling talent is just one part of being a better wrestler. It's about, first off, it's the scale. I'm sorry. The fact Dominic's in WWE and MJF's in AEW is a big reason for why he's ranked where he is. I also find it crazy that MJF's still under 30. But then again, I'm older than MJF. Jesus. Hell, I'm older than Dominic. But that's beside the point. I agree with the ranking. And quite frankly, I mean, I think it does great things for Dominic's career because it sets the bar higher and it sets the expectations higher. Luke?
Maestro, this is one of those times when you kind of gave me a little bit of a different spin on this. I look at things right now here. When you want to talk about, as we say, we talk about, and I can't believe I'm actually going to go into the discussion because you brought it up, the idea of drawing heat. And I look at it, and for the record, you got to throw it up here. Susie Haas, I think your thought is a little much. And here's why. Last night, Dominic Mysterio proved something to me. Did he necessarily go looking for a title shot? No.
No.
Finn Balor went looking for the title shot. Gunther thought he was going to have an easy night of it. And I'm sorry to tell you, I thought last night Dominic made a phenomenal showing against Gunther. And I'm going to tell you right now, MJF stays on our television screen the way that he had been in the early sides of the early days of AEW, then yeah, hands down, MJF is the best wrestler under 30. But I'm going to tell you right now, with as some people say that borderline X-Pac heat, as some people, and again, I'm not usually one to put the insider terms out there.
Oh boy.
But I'm going to tell you right now, on the couple things I have, I'm going to give Dominic his props. I think right now, when it comes down to it, I think that he is probably, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, that simply put, I think Dominic is the best in that spot right now.
Really?
I really do. I mean, that's just the way it is. And again, we can agree to disagree. One thing is for certain, though, they both get people fired up.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of those where you gotta have that somebody. And again, Miguel, I can agree with you to a point. But at the end of the day, and you know something? I want to go on these two comments here. Nigel brings up Dominic had the Judgment Day to ride on, but MJF's on his own, way better. You know something? And you look at it right here.
What?
Dominic is not a Rey Mysterio. Dominic is not an Eddie Guerrero. I get that. But you got to remember,
I get that
Dominic's
too.
not even 30 yet. We haven't seen
Which is crazy.
what he can do down the road. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised before it's all said and done of what Dominic can bring to the table. I really do.
Okay.
So at this point, we still got plenty more to come. Again, remember, hashtag WTP, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. Let's get those likes out there. Also, let's get those stars. A lot of people have been putting the stars out there as we got the randomizer going. The stars mean more great things for the Wrestle Talk podcast. Randomizer is just about done. Let's see what it's going to pop up this time. Ooh. This is a good one. As many people may or may not know, Kyle Fletcher at Full Gear defeats Will Ospreay. And he doesn't defeat Will Ospreay with 97 tons of interference. He defeats him clean in the middle of the ring. Jeremy, I got to ask you. I know that you don't follow wrestling like New Japan as often as you would like, but I know the name is very familiar with Kyle Fletcher. What does a win over Will Ospreay do for Kyle Fletcher?
I mean, it definitely the sky's the limit for Kyle Fletcher. I think Will Ospreay, obviously one of the biggest names in the world, to have this moment happen, I mean, just fantastic. I'm extremely happy for Kyle Fletcher.
You know something, though, Jeremy, and I'm going to ask you this. Do you think...
Okay, go for it. I'm curious.
Do you think that the recent actions of one Don Callis and the recent shaving of his head to prove that he's not a clone, as some would say, of Will Ospreay, do you think that that was taking it too far? Or do you think that that was something that Kyle Fletcher almost had to do to get people to understand? I mean, again, he was a member of the United Empire, tag team, well-known tag team wrestler.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think it was something that was needed?
Was it needed? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I'd go that far. But I will say, and I want to see Susie, your thoughts on Susie's comment later about her saying that Kyle reminds her of an Austin Theory. But like I said, I don't really think it was necessary, but I definitely feel it is a very beneficial move on his part.
You know, I got to look at it this way. Jeremy, I got to look at it this way. I think it's a little much. But you know, the end justifies the means. And looking at it right now, I got to tell you, hands down, it's one of those where when you sit down and look at it, Kyle Fletcher, probably one of the biggest wins of his career. One of the big things they got to do now. Oh, no. Jeremy, something tells me that this could be a good thing or a really bad thing.
Oh, no. What?
Well, no, you said you're trying to cut in here. I was saying maybe one of our surprises has arrived. I mean, it is the holiday season, you know.
Our surprise hasn't come just yet. We're still waiting for him backstage. But, ooh, wait a minute. Look at Susie's comment.
Uh-oh. I don't know if I should be happy or I should be scared.
Theory is only 27. And I think he's better than Dum Dum and MJF. Somebody's not a fan of MJF or of Dum Dum.
Oh, well, like I said, we've still got a lot coming on. As a matter of fact, again, ladies and gentlemen, to give you an idea, in about 35 minutes, we're going to be joined by Rocco the Barbarian and Deccan Kane here on the program tonight. Again, going to be looking forward to a great interview with Rocco. But you know something, Jeremy? We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on here. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of randomizer questions in here that, I'll be honest, have got me scared to death.
I love it. I love keeping you on your toes. All right. Ooh,
all right. Let's see what our next question holds here.
Okay. This is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Last, but it's random. So
oh, no. Jeremy, we still got plenty more here, but we look at it right here. The idea of, what are your thoughts of the Women's U.S. and Intercontinental Championships? Jeremy, I'm going to tell you right now, this is actually, and for those that don't know, we did have our regular production meeting this week. And Jeremy, this is actually going to go into another discussion. And you know where I'm going to be taking this here in just a minute. Do the women need secondary championships? And my answer, yes. The reason why is, since the women's revolution, the women of the WWE have had one major singles championship to compete for. When it comes to tag teams, you've got one tag team championship for all three brands.
Right.
But again, you said, and I'll tell you right now, after watching last night and looking at the brackets for some of these matches, the talent roster in the women's division is very, very deep. And I got to say, I don't think I've ever seen a women's roster with so many capable wrestlers that can go. And I think that both of these titles are going to give women more to go for. And again, props to the WWE for making this available to the female competitors. Now, Maestro, I know you and I have had some discussions on this. What are your thoughts about this?
I like the idea of the secondary championships, and I know it adds 2 more titles to WWE. To me, because for the sake of men's singles titles, excluding the main title, the WWE Championship, I mean, you remember for the longest time when the Intercontinental Championship was the most important, or the second most important championship. Well, aside from, the WWE Women's Championship, there's not really those secondary titles. This is all you really had was the Women's Money in the Bank. And that wasn't only until a few years ago. Well, now you got another stepping stone. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I think this is where Dakota Kai is going to win. I think she's going to have her breakout moment. She is a great worker. She has a great look, and she has a big fan following. Like, I'm telling you right now, Dakota Kai is a perfect choice to kick things off when it comes to who you'll crown the inaugural WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion.
Well, yeah, that's a very valid point there. And Hardcore Hoss brings us up here. And this is actually, I think it's going to be the first time. It's going to be you and I setting a piece. And this is kind of crazy thing of a little bit of Wrestle Talk history here. We're not going to hit the sounder because there's another question that this leads to. By adding 2 more championships to the mix, let's pop up our second high spots question here. And this kind of goes along with what Hardcore Hoss was talking about. With those championships, the WWE currently has 18 championships across the 3 brands. is this too many titles? And I'm going to tell you right now, I want to see what's up here with the commentary as to what's going on. Because when I look at it this way, Jeremy, I can't believe I'm going to put it out there this way, but there are so many championships right now in the WWE that some would liken it to everybody gets a participation trophy.
Oh boy, no.
But here's the deal: with the talent roster in the WWE, in NXT being so deep,
right?
You gotta have that many titles just to make sure you can keep everybody relevant and keep them in the know, because it's one of those things, you're out of sight, you're out of mind, or out of mind, out of sight, however it is. But the fact is, you gotta have something to draw people's attention. Now, do I really want to see a match or a pay-per-view of every championship being defended? No.
That's a big night of champions, I'll tell you that.
That is true. Well, actually, it'd be 16 matches in 2 minutes. It would be 2 matches. It'd be like 8 minutes. So, but when you sit there,
to think
about. But when you sit there and you look at it, Jeremy, I got to tell you right now, another way to look at it: go back to Crown Jewel.
Okay.
Could we be seeing the idea of down the road seeing Night of Champions again? But the idea: World Champion versus WWE Champion, Intercontinental Champion versus U.S. Champion, Women's Intercontinental Champion versus Women's U.S. Champion. I mean, again, the possibilities are endless, and you still got to throw all the NXT championships into the mix. There's a lot of things that are going to make people kind of take notice when it comes to the WWE. I mean, is it a lot? Yeah, but right now, it's almost just enough.
Well, I guess. Oh, I love what. Here's Susie's thoughts. She says, "Love to see the women do good, but dang, too many titles."
And to be honest with you, hear me, to each their own.
This is my question. Here's my question to the question. Okay.
To the question.
To the question. If any other promotion did this besides WWE, where there were 18 titles, would we be praising them the same way? If
No.
Impact had 18 titles, if AEW had 18 titles, hell, if New Japan had 18 titles, would we be praising them the way we are WWE?
No, and I'm going to tell you this, Jeremy, and you're going to find this really strange.
Oh, boy.
But how many promotions have 3 brands? How many promotions have 120, 150 wrestlers on the roster? How many promotions can create? How many? I mean, if you go back to our question earlier with Kylie Ray, how many promotions can go back and say that we have our own custom developmental system to get to the developmental system?
Okay. I get that. But, okay. You know what the thing of it is? WWE considers each show to be their own brand, whereas other promotions consider their shows to be shows. With AEW, Rampage and Collision, and hell, whatever else they have now, they're not considered brands, they're considered shows, whereas Raw and SmackDown and NXT are considered brands. It's all about the marketability of the promotion. And Haas said it perfectly. AEW has 4 shows, but they don't separate them as far as exclusivity of the talent like WWE has.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There was a time it became too many titles, because think back to when WWE and WCW merged. They had to have unification matches.
Mm-hmm.
with the European, Intercontinental, Europe, United States, all this stuff basically. So it does beg the question if that'll happen in the future again. 18 championships is a lot of championships, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
I got to agree with you, though. But again, the WWE has kind of become its own little world. And I mean, a lot of people said it's been that way since the late 70s, early 80s. When you sit down and look at the world of professional wrestling here, and as we're going to see here, we're going to be joined, just putting it out there, Rocco the Barbarian's going to be with us in a few minutes. And we're going to make sure that we get to take care of that here. And you know something? I want to throw this one out here to somebody who is, to throw this one out here. And again, Rocco, I know, is going to be joining us here in a few minutes. I want to get Rocco's take on this. I want to get Declan Kane's take on this. Because, Jeremy, you and I have had countless discussions on, and again, I'm just going to say it because you and I have always been very straightforward with it.
Of course.
The old school, the new school.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are going to take this as an opportunity to look at. When do you see the women's 24/7 championship? I see it at the exact same time they bring it back in the men's division. It's that simple.
No.
It's gonna be a while before we see something like that.
I never want to see a 24/7 title. If it's not the hardcore championship defended 24/7, I don't want to see any 24/7, 365, 7-Eleven.
No. Jeremy, stop. You got to say it right. It's a 24/7, 48/7, I-95 South television or European television championship belt, which has been held by R-Truth 75 times. So,
good job. I'll give you credit on that one, Luke. You did pretty damn good. And that took a lot.
Like I said, it took a lot of energy out of me, but you know what? We're going to go ahead here. We've still got a lot more stuff. And you know something, Jeremy? Looking at all the questions we've had, you know that we really haven't talked a lot specifically about Raw, specifically about SmackDown. We haven't talked specifically about Survivor Series yet. And we still got plenty of time in the high spots to be talking about those things. Let's kick it up another notch. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a question about why is Matt Riddle no longer exclusive to MLW. I know that's going to get our good friend Gabriel Arsene fired up.
What doesn't these days with him?
That is true. That is true. Man. Let's go ahead and throw another one up here in the high spot segment. All right, let's see how this is going to roll out here. Oh, I opened my mouth.
Ooh, this hurts.
And we talk about Monday Night Raw.
This hurts. Rip.
Jeremy, I'm going to let this go to you.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Go ahead.
Oh. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
This breaks my heart. This breaks my heart. I was watching it last night, and for the first time in like 2 years, we see Big E. I was so excited. I was like, holy crap, Big E's back. And look, I get it. They've been teasing the whole heel turn thing with Xavier Woods lately. I was like, okay, well, this will probably be when that happens. I did not expect Kofi Kingston to turn heel too. These are times where I still love the element of surprise when it comes to professional wrestling. No, we did not expect what we saw last night. When they talked about, and you know what? there is everyone is talking about the whole thing about a broken neck, about Austin breaking his neck and coming back, Angle breaking his neck, coming back, Edge breaking his neck, coming back. Meanwhile, Big E broke his neck and hasn't done anything as far as coming back. I mean, there was a lot of heat with that. It was extremely powerful because this is arguably one of, if not the greatest tag team / trios of all time. And what happens? Our trio's down to 2. Oh, that's exactly what happens. And I can't believe it, Luke.
Well, Jeremy, Jeremy, while you're broken up about it, and I know for a fact that I just received a message here a minute ago, and of course Joe Lance now is going to have to take his second to chime in here. Nice to see you're going to go out there and take a jab at a man who could have wound up being paralyzed or could have been even worse injured. And Joe's going to take a shot at a man who's going out there and doing everything he can in the world of professional wrestling to make sure he takes care of things.
Yeah.
But you know something? You know something, though? Fruit. Well, you know what? Something, Jeremy? I'm going to tell you this right now. And I know for a fact that I was just looking here, and again, I apologize to the fans here. As I've been sitting here, I've been getting communication. Our guest is trying to actually join us here on the program. And I know for a fact the maestro in our media department is trying to get the authentication taken care of. But as Jeremy's going ahead and the media department's trying to get that taken care of, so we can get Rocco the Barbarian on here in a few minutes. I'm going to tell you right now. And Susie, to give you an idea here, I'm going to tell you right now. Do I want to see Big E basically get shunned by Kofi and Xavier Woods? No. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to disagree with Susie here.
Okay.
I don't think Big E is the best. I don't think Kofi's the best. I don't think Xavier Woods is the best. I think that the combination of the three of them, that natural connection, is what made them the best. But do you want to know, Jeremy? Do you want to know my true, honest opinion? I'm not going to take the Joe Lance route and poke at somebody who could have had his livelihood taken from it, and in reality probably has had his in-ring career taken from him. My response? Absolutely brilliant. And here's why.
Yeah, I want to
in the world of professional wrestling, just like when you act or you do any other profession.
Okay.
Many people say that wrestling is the suspension
of disbelief.
Yeah. Everybody could see how fired up that Xavier Woods was getting.
Yeah.
And you look at it from the perspective that Xavier Woods, other than being king of the ring, hasn't gotten as far as the other two.
Well, yeah. He really
because
hasn't.
You see where Kofi Kingston is coming from. He hasn't done, other than I think maybe a tag team championship here and there. What has Kofi Kingston done recently? And you know, it's kind of cold, it's kind of callous, kind of harsh. When it comes down to it, Big E wants to be the voice of reason. I got to agree with Kofi and Xavier. Why couldn't this have been done 6 months ago? Why couldn't this have been done 9 months ago? When the cracks started to form in the foundation of the New Day. And Jeremy, you can't deny that these problems have been going on for a good long while.
They have. Now, that is true. They really have. And that is where, when I was rewatching the promo last time, I'm checking back with it right now, trying to see. And that's true. I like, it's less so about the whole broken neck and coming back thing, and more so about the fact that, look, he could have been their manager months ago if he wanted to. I mean, he went a long time. Do you not realize? You remember, Luke, watching last week about how Xavier Woods told Kofi that he pissed away Kofi Mania and the title and everything to Brock Lesnar. Why let it get to that point? Big E basically did.
Well, Jeremy, I got to throw it this way, though. And I'm just going to put it simple. Brock Lesnar is a completely different part of this equation. And shout out to big time Jim Harris joining us here on the program. Yes. Again, talking about, as a reminder, Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame on Sunday, June 22nd. Make it a point to join us at Andre's Banquet Center in South St. Louis. Make it a point to get it taken care of. You're going to see a lot of great wrestlers that are going to be inducted, along with myself, the Human Wrecking Ball, Pete Madden, Jeremy Lightfoot, Doc Lombardi, Ed Smith, Handsome Harley Race, Mischief.
That's going to be
Ace Strange, Doug O'Shea, Chris Knight, Steve Sharp. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Peggy Minder, among others that are going to be. Frank Reed, all going to be inducted in this year's Hall of Fame class. But I can tell you right now, when it comes down to it, the people don't like it, and the people are not going to like it. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm gonna creatively borrow because I'm respectful. I'm going to creatively borrow. Whether you like it or you don't like it, learn to love it, because last night, when it came to that promo, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods made it a point to be the best thing going today.
Damn. They needed to. This was much needed for their sake. I
have to agree with you there, my friend. Have to agree with you. Again, hashtag WTP, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. Share us out there. Want to give a shout out to all of our viewers that are taking part in the program. Again, we're going to be joined by the one, the only Rocco the Barbarian. Deccan Kane's going to be joining us here in just a couple minutes here on the program. We're looking right now. They're going to be joining us in about 10 to 12 minutes here on the program. Jeremy, let's go ahead. We got a little more time before Rocco is going to join us. All right, let's see where we're going to go now.
Let's see. What do we have? There are some interesting ones. All right. There you go.
As we near 2025, which promotion is the one to watch and why? Wow. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you, is there something that really stands out to you here?
All right, so this is interesting. I'm going to tell you right now. You want to know the promotion that I think is really going to break out next year? The one that's going to get even bigger and better. I'm going to actually show you. In fact, if you give me just 30 seconds while I drag it out, I'm going to tell you the promotion that I feel truly has the ability to be the one. You ready, Luke?
Jeremy, the floor is yours, my friend. Woo!
MLW.
Hold on. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Luke. Hi,
Hard
buddy.
to see you behind the graphic, but
I know,
go
but I had
ahead
to.
and share your thoughts here, because a lot of our viewers have said MLW is on the verge of some really great things. Let's hear your thoughts.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why MLW is. First off, a few months ago they had their six consecutive sellout of one of their shows. They've had to turn fans away because the crowds have gotten so big that tickets they just don't have seats available. And I want to go back to another thing with MLW. You know, there is next April, MLW is going to Los Angeles. That's where Battle Riot 7 is going to be taking place, I believe. Yeah, Battle Riot 7. It's going to take place in LA. It's basically Battle Riot, for those that don't know. It's MLW's version of a Royal Rumble. You got 40 wrestlers in a no-holds-barred battle royal with a future world title shot on the line. It's going to be at the Commerce Casino and Hotel. And get this. Two of the past winners, I should say, are Jacob Fatu and Matt Riddle. L.A. Park has also won. Tom Lawler has also won. And Alex Kane has also won in the past. Now, on January 11th, Matt Riddle is going to be challenging Satoshi Kojima for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship at Kings of Coliseum. Kenta, Minoru Suzuki, Donovan Dijak, Akira, who I just had the pleasure of seeing at PWE not too long ago, Cesar Duran, and so many more are going to be taking part in the Battle Riot event. MLW, to me, it's growing, and I feel like there's this big underground following that's finally started to uproot from kind of the foundation. AEW, whenever it gets any mention on media, it's mainly negative. MLW has gotten nothing but praise. I really feel that if they get just the right television contract, people are gonna tune in. It's all about the best availability. The best ability, Luke, is availability. And if MLW is available on a bigger scale, the sky's the limit.
You know, Jeremy, as you throw it out there, and I'm going to tell you this right now, I know that another member of our broadcast team, the one, the only Gabriel Arsene, is probably doing the happy dance because he agrees with you 100%. Arsene, my question is, though, does it necessarily tip his hand a little bit that maybe he's worried about facing Kojima? Hence, that's why he went to work at a TNA event.
Ooh.
Maybe it's because of the fact that Matt Riddle, especially with how much MLW has grown, and I'm going to give a shout out to all the great folks over at MLW who've given the Wrestle Talk podcast the opportunity to get interviews and to be a part of MLW events.
Where is it?
But I'm going to poke at him and maybe he'll show up. Hey, Arsene, I know you're watching the show. Here's my question for you. How does it feel to know that even Matt Riddle already knows that he can't win the big title and he's already weighing his options elsewhere?
Damn. Luke
I want to
coming
see
in
if he's going to pop in on that one. You know something, though, here, as we see what's up? Here's my thought, Jeremy, and you're going to be surprised. To me, the promotion that I think we're going to see a lot from next year, TNA.
They were my second choice. They really
I think
were.
right now TNA has been delivering. I think as it stands right now, when you sit down and you look at it from a perspective. I mean, again, I have heard from countless people that the tag team matches with the Hardys and ABC and the Rascals. I mean, again, the tag team division starting to fire on all cylinders. You've got a lot of people have been talking a lot of great things about Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich. You've got a lot of things going on with the heavyweight championship. I still think Joe Henry needs a major championship. I do. Joe Henry is just a cult hero right now in a lot of promotions. And I'm sorry, Susie. It's one of those where if you go back and look at it, has Riddle won the major title?
Oh, boy.
I'm going to go ahead and fire up a lot of people tonight here, Maestro. I really am.
You are not making many friends tonight. I'm just going to go on record and say that.
But the thing is, though, Jeremy, as a wise man once said, I don't got to yell and scream to get my point across. I speak the truth. But you know something here, Jeremy, as I'm looking back here at things, I want to hear from a man who has already given me grief all night, somebody who's had the guts to stand up for what he believes in. Ladies and gentlemen, we are being joined by the one and the only, making his grand appearance on the Wrestle Talk podcast, the founder, the originator, and all-around good guy, the one and only Nightmare Jones, Joe Lance. Nightmare Jones, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, except for the fact that you're trying to convince Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston to try to re-injure Big E for no good reason.
The way that I see it is this, okay? Big E is in the ring. Big E, as obviously he wants to be there for the New Day, but yet he hasn't been there for the New Day, has he?
No.
Exactly. He hasn't been there for the New Day. You're telling me that
he's not wrong.
That has been going on, he can stand behind the desk and talk, but yet he can't come down to the ring and support Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston?
Well, you know something, Joe?
I stand by my statement that they should have DDT'd him and left him.
You know something? Nightmare Jones, one of the things I've always known about you is you are like me tonight. You call it how you see it. But even you, sir, need to have a little bit of compassion. Legitimately, Big E had a neck injury, a broken neck. And you know, being around wrestling as long as you have, a neck injury is bad enough. But when you have an injury that could cause paralysis or, to be honest with you, death. I mean, you got to believe they said it was the C1.
I'm going to say the exact same thing that Kofi Kingston said. Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck and he got back into the ring. Kurt Angle broke his neck. He got back into the ring. Edge broke his neck and he got back into the ring.
Well, you know something, Joe, when it comes down to it. I mean, again, we could... One thing I will say is this. We could dwell on the specifics, but the fact is we're both in agreement. And for once, you and I are actually on the same page in agreeing that this should have happened a long time ago. But you know something? Before we get too much farther along, I'm going to say this right now here. Joe, before we get to talking about our sponsors here, we get to our feature interview this evening, AJ Wallace is taking a shot at you tonight.
Wait a
Did you
minute.
ever reply, my friend?
So it's okay. Nightmare Jones can't even count to 3. I don't have a problem counting 2, 3. I count 1, 2, 3. You know what? I learned how to be a referee from Luke Roberts.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
See?
There is the acknowledgement and the endorsement that I have been looking for almost 400 episodes, and I finally got my endorsement. Thank you very much, Nightmare Jones.
Everything I learned from Luke Roberts. So there you go.
And you know something too, when it comes down to it, I know full well that when it comes down to the to my induction in June, I know full well who's going to be sitting in that audience giving this guy right here a standing ovation. That's going to be the one, the only Nightmare Jones. But you know something? And as you put it up right there, in just moments, we're going to be joined by Rocco the Barbarian. Oh, no. Let's not go there, John. Let's not go there. I did my job.
Exactly.
Okay? It was one of those things. I did my job. Let's not go there. It's another time, another day. It's not a Wrestle Talk podcast issue. So we're going to go ahead and make that go away. Come on, media team. Make that go away. Make it go bye-bye. Bye-bye. Now, before we get going, and we have our feature interview here this evening. You know something? I'm not even going to let it bother me. But you know, one thing that we do need to do, Joe, is we need to go ahead and talk about our great sponsors.
Yes.
And let's go ahead and let's throw up those graphics here, and we can bring up the ticker as well. The Wrestle Talk podcast wants to thank all of its great sponsors. The Retro Zone in Kansas City. Make it a point to check them out. You got Painter's Dream Productions. If you need anything with media or anything of the sort, check out Painter's Dream Productions. A lot of great things that they are doing, especially a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast. The Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. The 2025 induction ceremony, June 22nd, Sunday here in St. Louis. Check them out on social media for more ticket information. Interstate 70 Sports Media, home of the maestro Jeremy Karp, Roundabout Sports, and a variety of different program and news features. Check them out online. Little Popeye Designs, home of those great Wrestle Talk podcast tumblers. If you saw it at the top of the show, make it a point to order one of yours. They are in limited supply. They're brand new. Little Popeye Designs only has a select number of them available. And watch that taken care of here. Make it a point to get things with your Wrestle Talk podcast tumbler. And, of course, the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, it is my esteemed honor and privilege. And we're going to see how this is going to work, Night Owl. We're going to see if we can make this work. It is our honor and privilege to be joined tonight by an individual who has really been setting the professional wrestling scene on fire. Whether it's in the ring by himself or under the guidance of Devin Kane. When you sit down and you look at this man's credentials and accomplishments, you got to say that not only is he a wrestler to watch, but he's definitely a wrestler that you do not want to be standing across the ring from. Hands down. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is our esteemed honor and privilege to welcome to the Wrestle Talk podcast this evening for our feature interview, the one, the only, and I hope our media team has got that music queued up real loud to bring in the one, the only, Rocco the Barbarian and Tekken King. What was that?
I don't know.
That wasn't the music that we talked about, Joe.
I know. I know. Whoever's the media person should be fired. Fired.
I don't know, man. We may have to go back. I mean, again, we remember the days of finding interns for this program to help with the media department.
Hey, intern
Where's
Timmy.
the driving
was
music?
fired.
Where's that just moves, that rock and roll, that almost heavy metal that drives people and drives people like that's a little more like it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestle Talk Podcast, welcome to the show. The one, the only, Rocco, the Barbarian. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco, I'm going to tell you right now, hopefully our media department can figure out how to turn down the volume on the music. I got to apologize. I don't know what that whole court inquisiting thing was earlier on, but I got to tell you right now, it's great to have you here on the program tonight, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been a while since I've been on the podcast.
Very true, very true. And again, to have you here on the program tonight, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to talk a little bit later. I know that you spent a lot of time in Western Missouri. You spent time in Kansas. You spent time in several different areas. But we're going to talk a little bit later about the opportunity that you're going to have here in early 2025 to make a journey across the great state of Missouri, cross the Mississippi River, and have the opportunity to come to my neck of the woods when you're going to be a part of another promotion, which we're going to talk about later on. But before we get started, for those that haven't had a chance, and again, as the Night Owl so graciously brings up, that it's been several years. For those that don't know, can you share with us real quick of what drew you to professional wrestling and who did you idolize growing up?
Well, what drew me to professional wrestling is the same person that I idolized, and that was Hulk Hogan. I loved Hulk Hogan. I loved The Rock, and watching those guys go in there and make me truly, lock in and say, I'm going to do that one day. It was those guys, mostly Hulk Hogan. There's nobody better than Hulk Hogan. So, yeah, just watching the theatrics, watching the people come to life, watching him work the crowd like he's working a guitar. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Well, I got to ask you here. We're going to make a complete kind of jump for here just a second. Hulk Hogan 85, Hulk Hogan 95. What's your choice?
That's a tough one. 85 is where I started. That's what sold me. But 95, NWO and all that stuff, that's the Hulk Hogan I studied, when I started to try to get into the ring. It's just that style. You don't see that a lot. You see a lot of guys bouncing around, but you don't see that slow work and making it matter. The things that happen matter.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rocco. Now, one more thing, and again, you can tell Nightmare Jones, he's over there on the other side of the screen. He's so heavily intent on being a part of tonight's interview. He's got a ton of hard-hitting questions. My question to you is this. I've seen footage of you getting in the ring. And I actually took a second and I pulled up some of the names that I've seen you compete against. You've competed against the likes of the Iceman, a man I've had an opportunity to be on a couple of events with. You've gotten to compete with the likes of Dr. Ison. You've gotten the opportunity to compete on events with the likes of Dynamite Derek Stone and the Yoga Monster Mike Seidel and Rory Fox. And I mean, again, I can go on and on and on. But my question to you is this. What makes you, an accomplished wrestler such as yourself, decide that you need the guidance of one Deccan King.
Well, it's Deacon Kane. Deacon's the one that trained me. When I walked into the XWC, the Extreme Wrestling Center, is where I started. He was the guy that slowed down. Him and the guy, I don't know if anybody knows of him, he went by the wrestling name Enigma. They're the guys that trained me and slowed down and showed me the finer points of working a match, and making what I do count. So when it came down to it and I needed somebody to have my back, Deacon Kane's the man to call. He knows how to get things done the way that we want to get it done.
You know something, Rocco? That's a very valid point, is the idea of where, and again, this might show my age, but I look at it kind of like a music lyric of John Bon Jovi, who says you can't go home. When you know the people that have trained you and have given you guidance and have been there by your side and have constantly been right there giving you helpful information along the way, it's just a natural fit. And I say, in this case here, I mean, thus far it's proving successful for you. I mean, well, with all the matches you've been winning as of late, I mean, we're not going to talk about a certain individual named Austin Militello. We're not going to go into that yet. But I digress. I'm going to turn things over to my broadcast colleague to ask some questions of you. As we see here, we've got Rock with the Barbarian here on the program. Nightmare Jones, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, once again, thank you for coming on to the show. So one of my questions is, Luke made a comment that you're a man that nobody wants to be standing across the ring from. So what do you think goes through your opponent's minds when they are standing across the ring from Rocco the Barbarian before that bell rings?
They say, "Oh man, he's big. He's bigger than he looks." When we get in there and I'm a head and shoulders taller than most of the guys, they realize, like, oh, he's big.
Right? Absolutely.
So,
Now Luke has listed a long list of names of people that you have wrestled. Is there anybody that you have not been able to wrestle yet that you absolutely want to wrestle?
Attila Khan.
Attila Khan. Ooh.
I want Attila Khan so bad I can taste it.
That would be a one heck of a match. And I think even Luke Roberts would agree that would be one heck of a match.
I will step in here for a second, Rocco. I know we talked about it earlier on in the program. I know, as experienced as you are, as well traveled as you are you really sure that that's something you want right now after the problems that Attila Khan, the Faces of Fear, Stephen E., Devastation Incorporated have encountered in SICW? This man, I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't want to be in the same state as Attila Khan right now.
Oh, no. That's the thing. It's the barbarian way. You have to conquer the kings, and that's a king worth conquering.
I like the thought there. I really do. Nightmare Jones, back to you, sir.
Yeah, it's just, you against Attila Khan would be absolutely amazing. Is there anything that you haven't been able to accomplish yet that you wanted to accomplish in the professional wrestling business?
Well, right now, I have my sights set on being Trailblazer champion.
Okay.
I want that belt real bad. Beyond that, Deacon and I have kicked around the idea about trying to get our feet in the door at AEW, a bigger stage, and see what we can do there.
I could see you wrestling a lot of people in AEW. Like, could you imagine Rocco the Barbarian against Powerhouse Hobbs? Oh my gosh. All right, Luke, I'm going to let it back to you because I know that you're chomping at the bit with more questions for Rocco.
Well, you know something, Nightmare. I want to go back here, and you have spent a lot of time, Rocco, in Trailblazer Championship Wrestling. Many people would consider it to be a home for you. And what I want to do here real quick, I had several members of the media team, one of which who's not on the screen right now. And thankfully, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, considering the fact that I'm kind of going into this without a lot of warning. And I do want to preface, I'm not doing anything to infuriate you because I've had the opportunity to see you compete, and you would basically rip me limb from limb. So I just like to preface that now. But I want to take a minute here, and I want to look at your time over the course of the last 2+ years in Trailblazer Championship Wrestling. And what I want to do here, much like you would have, like if you were going, we're going to have a little bit of Wrestle Talk podcast therapy with Rocco the Barbarian. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list of names that have been on events that you have been a part of. And I want you to give us the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay? Hopefully this will be therapeutic. If not, you can blame Joe Lance. Okay, here we go. First name. The Suplex Cyclone, Kurt Gannon.
How did I know that was going to be the first one? Yeah. First word. Pain in the ass.
Can you elaborate a little bit there?
I've wrestled Kurt Gannon, and Kurt Gannon beat me when I wasn't as healthy as I am now.
What's up,
Well, you know
fellas?
something right now, as we see up here on the screen, we've been joined by the one, the only, the executive producer of the Wrestle Talk podcast, the Night Owl, Renee Martinez. Now, Night Owl, you know we're having a little bit of a therapy session here with Rocco the Barbarian. And I'm going to warn you right now, the media team has done an awesome job. The second name on the list is Renee Martinez.
Dear friend. Good man.
Okay.
Good.
Very valid point here.
Since my very first match in Kansas City. Good dude.
Okay, now that he's going to be feeling like he's on cloud 9. Next one. Rapid delivery, Rory Fox.
£10 of fun in a 5-pound bag.
Care to elaborate a little bit on that?
He's got a lot of energy. He's fun to watch, first of all, and probably one of my best matches I've had so far. He's very creative, very difficult to deal with as far as, wrestling him in the ring. But it was by far the funnest I've ever had, beating the crap out of Rapid Delivery Rory Fox.
Like I said, you're getting Rocco the Barbarian unplugged here as a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast this evening. The next one, Deacon Kane, the manager.
Brother. That's my brother.
The Yoga Monster, Mike Seidel.
Too damn fast.
I'm not going to ask much more about that, Rocco, because I've had an opportunity to referee several of his matches inside the professional wrestling ring, and that man can go. And I know personally, that the Night Owl can talk about Mike Seidel. I can talk about Mike Seidel. You can talk about Mike Seidel. Even Nightmare Jones can talk about Mike Seidel. And I want to give him a shout out. It's been a while, Mike. I'm making a point. I'm going to be getting in contact with you before the holidays are over, my friend. Next one we're going to look at here, Salem Gust.
He is, let's say, an antithesis.
An
He's
antithesis.
like, he's
So,
like me, but without any of the civility.
Okay. Next one. Astonishing Austin Militello.
Oh, the stain.
I sense some deep rooted resentment, maybe some anger there, Rocco. Would you care to?
hold on. Rob, I want to save that ammo because I think that's. I mean, since we're looking into the future, right? I think that's the best place to close. I'm gonna jump in here just briefly, and Rocco, bro, you already know that having you on here is kind of like a sentimental thing for me, and it is to the audience. It's a bit of a shocker because I recently stepped away from the show as a permanent host to move on to other things, right? To expand my horizons, learn some new skills, and to really to be able to serve the show and our audience to the maximum ability. And doing that on a week in, week out basis wasn't really, it wasn't conducive anymore. So the reason I preface is to say that, you know, when you first came on this show, I think we were a long ways from where we are right now as individuals, and also as far as our careers. And it's okay if you readjust yourself, no worries. I'm in awe, bro. Like your transformation, you know, and hopefully it's okay if any of this is off limits, you let me know. Like the whole Johnny Rocco thing to now Rocco the Barbarian. And if you don't want to go into that history, that's fine. But I do want to say that like there was nothing wrong with it back then. I think everything just like this shows an evolution, bro. And to see you going out there and recognizing your own strengths, like the transformation of your body alone, full blown pause on this whole statement I'm about to make here for the comedians out there. Bro, you have put the time in on your body and clearly on your mind to walk into any backstage and be respected. And anybody who knows, especially us Midwest guys, know that, you know, Deacon is the guy that's been around for a long time. You know what I mean? Like a credible, voice of reason amongst the boys. Somebody who has helped mentor a lot of people. You look at him and be like, this guy taught people how to wrestle. Yeah, he damn did. That's right. Enigma too. Adam, shout out to you, my guy. I mean, these folks, you know, I'll throw the Cattons in there and Jude Weiss and all these guys that, you know, at one point were looked at like, oh, you're learning from them. Now it's like, bro, yeah, I learned from them. You know what I mean? So I want to give you your flowers in one, and then in another, to have you talk as the guy who's kind of in the middle of it now about like the evolution and the fact that it's okay to change as you go and improve. Because I think some people get so enamored with that WWE character they created back in 2008, and they think that when they get into the business, they have to be that. You know what I mean? But you, I think, my man, are ultimate proof that you don't have to be that. You can be whatever suits you. You know what I mean? And the Rocco the Barbarian, I think, is definitely what suits you, bro. The bookings are coming. You know, the big names and the matches that I think that you've always dreamt of are right there for you to go out and get. So I think it's important for people that are in this business, especially early on, to hear from a guy who really started from the bottom and really molded himself into the man he is today, to the character he is today. I'm just extremely proud of you, bro. So I had to jump back on here and at least have my thoughts and then my questions shared with you, because I wasn't going to let you come on here and not come on and give you your flowers, bro, because I think you certainly deserve them, bro. You're a great person. I know you're a wonderful leader of a household, and then you're also killing shit out there inside that 20 by 20. So I'm going to step out and listen to your response, bro, and I'll be hearing every word of it. I just want to say thank you for cutting out the time. I know how busy you are, and I'm really excited, like everybody else here on the Wrestle Talk family, to see what's coming for you in the future, man. Truly, truly.
I appreciate everything you said there. my earbuds died on me there, so I'm having to readjust here.
Yeah, no worries.
But man, I appreciate all that. I did take a big journey, just from being the Johnny Rocco character. That it served its purpose, but I went through a little bit of a tough time. You said I'm a head of a household. I went through a divorce, and that led to a lot of changes. So led to me living in the gym and me focusing on my training and trying to make something better. So really, Rocco the Barbarian's like this manifest of all those things that I suppressed down for a long, long time. And when I get in the ring, it's an opportunity to change that face and go out there and let it all out.
Well, and something here, Rocco, I want to go ahead and step in too. When you get inside the world of the professional wrestling ring, there's just something about, as Night Owl was saying, when you step inside the 20 by 20, when you step inside the squared circle, it's been said countless times before. There's just something about being in there where it gives you the opportunity to let it all out. I always told my wife that it was almost like therapy for me being inside the ring, because you have that focus, you have what you are set to accomplish inside the squared circle, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, it really is. You get in there and there's like a barrier between me and the crowd, but there's like this tension, right? And if you know how to like click strings, you find success. It's the one thing that I feel like, I hate to say it comes easy, but it's freeing, to when you're doing it right, and people are noticing it, and people are buying into everything, and they're coming to your table and they want to see you up close. That's what makes it,
Well, another thing I want to throw out there too, and we talk about your journeys in the world of professional wrestling, and you talk about Deacon Kane, you talk about your time at XWC. We talk about all the transformations you've made over the course of your career, things that you've changed to better yourself inside the world of professionals and better yourself in life. What would you tell Johnny Rocco, brand new, never been inside a wrestling ring? What would you tell Johnny Rocco right now?
To slow down. Johnny Rocco, that in that time in my career, it was all fast paced and high risk, and there's things that hurt now that probably shouldn't hurt at this age, so it would definitely be to slow down, take your time, and maybe look at your style.
Something, Rocco, as we sit here and maybe it's just because of the idea that we're not as young as we once were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think about what Tully Blanchard said once. I wake up, I got a little crick in my neck, I got a little crick in my back, my knees are a little sore, but I wouldn't change anything in the world when it comes to being inside the ring. And that's where, again, to have you on the program and to see how you've grown. Again, in itself, it really is unique in seeing how you've developed, not just as a wrestler, but as a person. Now, I do want to take a second here. And I did say we were going to mention this a little bit ago. In early January in 2025, January 11th, as a matter of fact, you're going to be taking part in an event for a new promotion here in the St. Louis area called the Midwest Wrestling Coalition. Yes. And I have to ask you, what was the biggest draw for you to come to St. Louis?
being back in the area, I spent 2.5 to maybe 3 years working for what was then WPW, World Powerhouse Wrestling. I worked a lot for RCW under Frank Reed, and then a dear guy that I miss very much. Frank Reed treated me very well, gave me my first title run, my first big opportunity. So to come back to that area, it's like walking down memory lane, a chance to go back and maybe fix some of the things that I didn't do to satisfaction.
You know what? When you talk about that too, Rocco, I mean, again, I had many an experience with Frank Reed. Again, a guy that I really enjoyed being around, and to me, Frank was always one of those that was the. I don't want to say the old school wrestler, but you hear all these stories about how you can go years without seeing somebody, and the second you walk back into the room, it's just like you'd never. It's like time had stood still. And you talk about that, and you talk about Frank Reed. Another thing that we've talked about here as part of the Wrestle Talk podcast is our connection and our association with the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. And my question to you is, there are several people that I know that you've had the opportunity either to be in the ring with or see in the ring that are going to be in this year's class, Frank Reed being one of them. Another one that's going to be going in there is going to be the Irish Devil, Doug O'Shea. I know that you've had some, I don't want to say dealings, but I know that you're familiar with people like the likes of Jeremy Lightfoot and others. How does it feel to you to see people, as the Night Owl said earlier on, finally getting the recognition that they deserve?
Well, it inspires hope, that it's not all for naught at the end of the day. If I don't make it to a big stage and become WWE World Champion, there's other avenues of recognition to leave a legacy. So, I mean, having those Hall of Fames like that, it provides a hope that if I don't make it there, there's always somewhere you can leave your legacy. And and dealing with a lot of those guys or being in the locker room with those guys. And I remember like Doug O'Shea. I know Butcher Bill Talley. Those guys are Damian Blade. I remember being in the locker room with those guys and them, giving me advice, giving me tips. I mean, the Butcher Damian Blade, yeah, that guy provided so many open doors for me when I first came in. He was one of the first people to ever really believe in me. So, I mean, to see guys like that, and those guys were, how I feel, they were kind of in the stage then that I am now, right? So it's inspiring, really.
And again, I agree with you 100%, Rocco. I mean, again, when you look at some of the names that are going into the Hall of Fame, and again, it really has been interesting to see not just the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, but I do know that there's been a couple other Hall of Fames when it comes to professional wrestling here in the Midwest. And to see a lot of people get that recognition, and I mean, again, when you go back and you look at the St. Louis wrestling scene, and being a part of promotions like RCW, like WPW, there's a lot of wrestling promotions that have very storied legacies in the St. Louis area. And now when you start talking about the greater Kansas City area and talk about the state of Kansas, there's starting to be a good chunk of promotions in Kansas as well, Kansas and Nebraska and the Dakotas. There's a lot of great promotions out there as well. It's kind of like we're getting back to the old territory days. And it's really cool to see these things. Now, Now, Rocco, I'm a level with you. As you can see on the screen right now, there's a man that has openly said to me, and Joe, you can't deny it, that for 4 years he has wanted to show you up. For 4 years, even though he's a referee, he feels that he can be better than Johnny Rocco. He can be better than Rocco the Barbarian.
At what? Eating donuts?
Joe, is he true?
I never said that. What are you talking about?
Joe, I have it on good authority that you've said that you could defeat Rocco in the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge.
Oh, okay. Yes. Trivia. Yes. I absolutely. In the ring, I would probably get killed. See, I'm not going to say that I could beat him in the ring because I remember what happened when I talked crap about Cahegas. I still feel those chair shots.
Well, you know something, Jonesy, I'm gonna level with you. Rocco, he's been talking trash for the last 3 weeks. He's made it a point that not only does he think that he's better than you in trivia, he thinks he's better than you in the ring, and he is guaranteed to the media department that he is going to sweep you in tonight's game show
Are you
challenge.
trying to get me killed? I thought we
He
were
might beat
friends.
me in the trivia. He might beat me in the trivia. He ain't gonna beat me in the ring, though. I'll tell you that.
I would personally pay to see that match because when it comes down to it, Joe, you've talked a lot of trash. Sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta fess up. But you know, tonight we're not gonna talk trash. We're not gonna talk about, as AJ Wallace had up here, we're not gonna talk about referees getting hit or tased. I mean, there are certain people in this conversation who have been tased as a part of a professional wrestling match. I won't mention any names, Nightmare Jones. But when it comes down to it, Rocco, if you're willing to participate, we want to go ahead and welcome you to our little squared circle, our little 20 by 20 ring, and a little thing called the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Are you willing to participate tonight and truly show Joe Lance what it is to be Rocco the Barbarian?
Sure, let's give her a go.
Righty, Nightmare Jones, do you have any final words?
I thought we were friends, Luke. I thought we were friends. But let's go.
All righty, let's go ahead and hit the music for the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's installment of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our competitors are the Wrestle Talk Podcast's own Nightmare Jones, Joe Lance, and his opponent standing, or sitting, I should say, in the middle of the screen, weighing in this evening at 227 pounds, hailing from any place he feels that he needs to. The one, the only, Rocco the Barbarian. Now, gentlemen, you know the rules. I'm going to give you 3 questions. The first to get 2 out of 3 of them correct is tonight's winner. Tonight's category will be something that connects to both of you.
Okay.
Rocco, are you ready?
Yeah.
Nightmare Jones, are you ready?
Let's go.
In honor of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast guest interview, We want to take a moment to showcase the superstar that is Rocco the Barbarian. The only way to showcase a superstar is to have a category that focuses on superstars. Or more importantly, movie stars. Tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge is going to be famous wrestling-related movies.
Okay.
I will give you information about 3 professional wrestling movies. When you think you know the name of the movie, shout it out. The first one to get 2 out of 3 correct will win tonight's game show challenge. Nightmare Jones, are you ready?
Let's go.
Rocco the Barbarian, Mr. Rocco the Barbarian, I should say. Are you ready?
Indeed.
Okay. Question number 1. This movie, related to professional wrestling, debuted in 1989. It featured a character named Rip Thomas.
No holds barred.
No holds barred. Yes. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first fall goes to Rocco the Barbarian.
He's going to know it. It's Hulk Hogan. He knows everything about Hulk Hogan.
Well, that means you got to be a little bit quicker, Joe. All right, gentlemen. Now that we know that Nightmare Jones cannot fulfill his goal and his boast about being able to sweep you, Mr. Rocco, are you ready for question number 2?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, Nightmare Jones is ready. Question number 2. This movie, related to wrestling, was released in 2000.
Okay.
Roger Ebert made the comment, this movie is best when it deals with professional wrestling
Ready to rumble.
and worst when it prefers a wheezy prefab plot to the possibility of its subject.
Ready to rumble?
Ladies and gentlemen, Nightmare Jones coming back with the second fall. The end of the question was going to be, this movie also led to the infamous WCW championship run of David Arquette, that being Ready to Rumble. All right, gentlemen, as we can see how things are right now, this is just like many would say the classic wrestling matches from the 70s and 80s. It's going to come down to that all deciding third fall. Nightmare Jones, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Mr. Rocco the Barbarian.
Let's get it.
All righty. This movie was released in 1978. The list of actors in this wrestling-related movie.
Power Driver?
No.
No.
Would
Toy
be
Story
a who's
3.
who. The 2 most known characters were a character called Frankie the Thumper, played by Terry Funk, and another character played by Sylvester Stallone. Name this movie.
Sylvester Stallone. Oh, God. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm stumped.
I don't know.
All right, I've been made aware that we are going to go to another question. That movie was Paradise Alley.
I wouldn't have never guessed that. Never guessed that one.
So
That's
I've
okay.
heard of that one, but I would not have guessed that. But I have heard of Paradise Alley. That's the funny thing.
All right, we will go to the alternate third question. This professional wrestling based movie came out in 2006. It featured Silver King and the wrestling debut of Jack Black. Name it.
Oh, Nacho Libre.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the third and deciding fall and the winner of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, the one, the only, Mr. Rocco the Barbarian. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Joe, I think an apology is in order here.
I didn't do anything. I promise you, I wouldn't.
Got him! Got him!
You're trying to get me killed. You're
Well-
trying to get me hit with the chair and tased again.
Well, Joe, when it comes down to it, my friend, I mean, again, you have to admit defeat. Rocco the Barbarian proving you wrong here tonight on the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Mr.
Now-
Bowman, I'll give him that.
All right. Before we let you go, Rocco, we do have a couple little pieces of business we need to take care of.
Sure.
The first thing we want to do is we want to give you the opportunity, because as you said, you've been in countless different promotions over the course of your career inside the squared circle. If people want to follow you on social media, how can they do so?
You can find me with the epic saga of Rocco the Barbarian on Facebook. And then you can find me on TikTok, Rocco Ryan Cole. And then again on Instagram, Rocco the Barbarian.
Okay. Now, as we mentioned earlier, you're very active in Trailblazer Championship Wrestling. You're also going to be joining Midwest Wrestling Coalition at their debut event in Alton, Illinois on January 11th. For those that would like to see you step inside the squared circle before that, where can they catch you in ring competition?
Well, before the 11th, I'm actually on a sabbatical. I'm resting and getting ready for the 11th. I don't have anything booked until the 11th. And then shortly after that, it will be Trailblazer again.
Okay. Well, you know something, Rocco, as the Night Owl said, and I've had an opportunity, I'm going to tell you right now, I am very much looking forward to having the opportunity. I mean, I've been to Kansas City a couple times. I've been around a couple promotions, and when it comes down to it, you have always stood out as one of those wrestlers that you need to watch. When you're in the Kansas City area, you're one of those where if people want to have the opportunity to see one of the best, Rocco the Barbarian, Johnny Rocco, however you know this man, you need to make it a point to check him out, whether it's Trailblazer, whether it's Midwest Wrestling Coalition, or any other promotion that he is a part of their event. You need to check him out. And I'm going to tell you right now, Rocco, it's my hope, my sincere hope, that you're going to be able to, I mean, again, we talk about Frank Reed, we talk about countless others. It's my goal before too much longer that hopefully you and I will get to sit down. Maybe it'll be with the Night Owl. Maybe it'll be with the one and only Nightmare Jones. But I really look forward to the idea of just sitting down and telling some old Frank Reed stories.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I'm going to try to get a hold of Randy, his son, and see if I can't get in on their next show. I'd happily go to an RCW show.
Well, I understand that completely. I know that they're right now working on, I believe they're working on a tribute event for Frank Reed. And I know there's already the names of people who are wanting to take part in it. I mean, it's growing pretty much by the second. And again, that might be definitely one where we can make it a point to catch up. Nightmare Jones, I know I've given you a lot of grief tonight, but do you have any final thoughts for Rocco tonight?
Just thank you for coming on to the show. It was great seeing you again. It's been a long time since you've been on to the show, and I look forward to seeing what is in store for Rocco the Barbarian.
Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Rocco the Barbarian, once again joining the Wrestle Talk podcast and having an opportunity to share some time with the Wrestle Talk podcast family. Very much so. You know something right now, Jeremy? I think Rocco deserves one more thing. And as you're looking back in the switchboard, you're looking back at all the media, I think when it comes to Rocco the Barbarian being in the ring, I truly think that Corey Graves summarizes the ability of Rocco the Barbarian very simply.
Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Hey, got to speak the truth, Rocco. Like I said, once again, Rocco the Barbarian joining us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Rocco, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to tell you right now, 2025 is going to be a great year for you. And it's going to be the opportunity when you and I are finally going to get to sit down, maybe have some burgers, maybe have a couple of soda pops, and talk about the world of pro wrestling. And we want to say thank you again for coming on the program this evening.
Thank you for having me, guys. Have a good night.
Yep.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco the Barbarian here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Gentlemen, I got to tell you, hands down, great interview. I had an opportunity to take care of things here. And again, Rocco the Barbarian joining us here on the program. Jonesy, I got to tell you, man, I thought you were going to be a little more forthcoming when you couldn't sweep Rocco tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, like I said, you threw me under the bus. I never said any of those things.
No, I got it from the production meeting.
Well, then whoever was giving you that was giving you false information. And I have a feeling I know who it was.
Oh, wait a minute. This is the same person that told me that you've actually started a petition to get the Snitch a championship title opportunity yet in 2024.
Absolutely. I want the Snitch to have a title opportunity, and I want Luke Roberts to be in a cage 25 feet above the ring during that match.
What did I do? I do my job, and now you're going to give me grief.
Cost this Snitch this title. That is enough right there. You cost the Snitch his title.
I'm not even going to go there, Jonesy. I'm not going to
go there.
Well, you know something, guys? One more thing before we kind of start wrapping things up here tonight. And I know that, Maestro, you've talked about it. I know Nightmare Jones, you've talked about it. You've actually had some exclusives here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I just want to let you know right now as it stands, this upcoming week, next week, as you know, Wrestle Talk podcast is going to be off next week. Again, we're every 2 weeks now. But next week, we're going to have the opportunity, especially for those that are in the Midwest part of the country, are going to have an opportunity. AEW will be coming to town in the Midwest this coming week. Next Wednesday, they will be in Kansas City for AEW Dynamite and Rampage. And they will be in St. Louis on Thursday for a taping of AEW Collision. And I will tell you right now, keep tuned to the Wrestle Talk podcast social media. I can't go into huge discussion right now. However, there may be big breaking news this week. And don't got to worry about hitting the breaking news sounder yet. But keep an eye on social media, because if everything falls into place, the Wrestle Talk podcast is going to make another huge statement in 2024. Well, gentlemen, as you know, we're getting pretty close here. That's what a lot of people are hoping that is going to be talking about this next week. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we call it a night here on the Wrestle Talk podcast? Nightmare Jones?
Oh, go ahead. You're up, Jones.
Nightmare Jones? Any final thoughts?
Nope, dude, it's been amazing. I love being able to come back onto the podcast again. So thank you for everything that you do, Luke. Thank you for everything that you do, Jeremy. And I guess thank you for everything that you do, Night Owl.
I'm going to tell you right now, thank you to the Wrestle Talk podcast family for tuning in, making a point to share us out there to all their aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, moms, dads, you name it. Thank you for sharing us out there. Again, we want to go ahead and thank one more time our great sponsors, who, in addition to the Wrestle Talk family, make it a point that this show keeps going each and every week. So, Jeremy, we've got the list on the screen. We're also going to be able to give you the pictures. Retro Zone in Kansas City, make it a point to stop by and check them out. We also have Painter's Dream Productions. If you need anything media related, check out Painter's Dream Productions and our good friend Perry Hartman. The Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. The 2025 induction ceremony will be taking place on Sunday, June 22nd at Andre's Banquet Center on Telegraph Road in St. Louis. Interstate 70 Sports Media, home of the maestro Jeremy Cart. You can check him out with his program Roundabout Sports every Wednesday. Little Popeye Designs, home of that great Wrestle Talk podcast Tumblr, which you can get right here. You see it on the screen. If you'd like to order one, make it a point to send us a message, and we'll make sure to get you hooked up for that $20. Get that taken care of. And the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. At this point in time, before we go, not too bad at all. But before we get going here tonight, I want to go ahead and I want to turn things over. It's kind of become a tradition here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I want to go ahead and turn things over to the maestro for one last little piece of information, one last little nugget, just to kind of remind you, especially during the times of the holiday season. Maestro?
Oh, absolutely, Luke. Let me tell you something, folks. So with it being the holiday season, especially, you know, there can be some times of loneliness. It's supposed to be happy, times of great positive vibes, but other times people are still grieving. People are going through tough phases, you know. And I want to make it known, as always, that the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is at 988. You dial, the line is open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand you're never alone out there in this world. There's always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, who wants you to stay blessed each and every day. And we all struggle. We all go through our struggles, whether they be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. That being said, they don't have to be traveled alone. You are just a phone call or a text message or an email away. And you could also be the listening ears and watchful eyes for somebody who is in need of just that life-saving support. If anything, I mean, it's something that should happen any time of the year, all the time of the year, but especially during these holiday seasons. So once again, that is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, dial 988. You are never alone.
All right, one last thing before we go. I know, Jeremy, you've had the opportunity to get on the newsletter for the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame. I saw something today when I got my most recent newsletter, and a shout out to all the great folks up there, Jim Murphy, among others. One of the things I look at here is a quote from Rock Riddle. Mr. Wonderful, the original Mr. Wonderful himself, Rock Riddle. I guess this is going to be my parting thought for the night. It's okay to be visible. It's okay to take the spotlight. If there's fear involved, turn it into excitement. That was from the original Mr. Wonderful, Rock Riddle. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Wrestle Talk podcast, for Luke Roberts, the Maestro Jeremy Karp, and Nightmare Jones himself, Joe Lance, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you right back here in 2 weeks for the Wrestle Talk podcast. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Good night, everybody.